Yeah. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to All Souls Unitarian Universalist Church. I'm Kirsten Levitt, and I'm delighted to be your worship host. Oops, I can take this off while I'm up here. We're grateful to have each and every one of you here today, in person or online. So for our safety, our mutual safety, we're going to ask that you stay masked while we're in the sanctuary. You can sing with your mask on, though. Isn't that exciting? We'll be doing a little singing this morning. We're just taking these precautions due to an abundant care for our community, every one of us. Today, at the end of service, we will be holding a celebratory farewell potluck for Jennifer and Melvin Lawrence, who are moving to Texas. And you're all invited to join us, and downstairs, as you're comfortable, you can join us for food and beverage. It's not something we've done before since the pandemic started, so it's a grand experiment. But a lot of us are going out and eating in other places, and we'll figure it out. I extend a special welcome to Amy McMahan. Reverend Amy McMahan is returning to our pulpit in 2023, and we're so excited to have her here. And we're so grateful to Julia Bady for enriching our atmosphere and service with her beautiful music. Thank you so much, Julia. And now, I invite everyone to breathe. Breathe deeply. Come into the room. Be present. Be focused. Be at peace. In the words of the Reverend Kathleen McTeague, we come together this morning to remind one another to rest for a moment on the forming edge of our lives, to resist the headlong tumble into the next moment until we claim for ourselves awareness and gratitude, taking time to look into one another's faces and see communion. This house of laughter and silence, memory and hope is hallowed by our presence here together. Let us take a little time for quiet reflection as we listen to the prelude. Amy lights the chalice, will you please join me in saying the words in your order of worship for chalice lighting? At times, our own light goes out and is rekindled by a spark from another person. Each of us has cause to think with deep gratitude of those who have lighted the flame within us. And now a daily reading.
And this is from January 15th, from Until Today by the Reverend Dr. Ian Van Zant. This is part of my daily spiritual practice. Life will work for me when I tell myself the truth, I can trust myself. If your life is a mess, here are a few things you may want to consider cleaning up. Are you keeping your agreements? Are you doing what you say you will do? Or are you telling little fibs to get out of the things you agreed to do? When you do not keep your agreements, then lie to cover them up, you create little messes all over your life. In addition, when you do not keep your agreements, you learn that you cannot be trusted. If you can't trust you, who can you trust? Are you overcommitted? Are you agreeing to do more than you can or need to do because you are trying to get people to like you? Are you making commitments so that other people won't be mad at you? When you are overcommitted, it is a sign that there is a deficit of self-value, self-worth, self-esteem. When you don't feel good about you, you will continue to do things that will maintain the status quo of not feeling good. When you do not feel good, you make a mess in and of your life. Are you telling the truth about what you feel, what you know, who you are? Or are you sugarcoating the truth to yourself and others to avoid hurting their feelings and putting yourself on the spot? When you do not tell the truth, you are enslaved by a lie. The lie controls your life. The lie determines what you do, how you do it, and what you receive as a result. When you are a slave to a lie, you eventually become the very one who keeps the master alive. Until today, you may not have realized how the mess in your life got started or how to clean it up. Just for today, be devoted to examining, acknowledging, and cleaning up the little things that create such a mess in your mind and your life. Today, I am devoted to cleaning up the mess. Ooh, I have to think about that one.
Now, if you will rise as you're willing and able in body to sing number 323, Break Not the Circle. Wait. 323, Break Not the Circle. Okay, sorry. I had a different tune in my head. Woo-hoo! My fault entirely. Let's try again. Break not the circle of every God, where people go for revenge and forgiving. Break not the circle, make the brighter still, till it includes embraces all the living. That so wasn't what I thought it was. I apologize. Will you please join me in reading this congregation's covenant that we enacted many moons ago? We'll read together. It's in your order of worship. In this house, we covenant with one another to create a community built on a foundation of love, to work together to promote equality, justice, and peace, accepting responsibility for our individual acts, to stand on the side of love, embracing the liberation of oppressed minorities, and working to end discrimination and unjust privilege, to communicate with kindness and support, and to serve with compassion and commitment, to listen respectfully and value our diversity as a source of our collective strength, to learn and grow together, generously sharing our time, talents, and treasures, to celebrate the joys of discovery, from the wonders of youth to the wisdom of age, to openly share our laughter and our tears, showing reverence for the divine in all that is. Each week in our church, we take up an offering, which gives us an opportunity to exercise the generosity of spirit that supports All Souls and its many ministries. We see this act of giving, of growing more generous in our hearts and in our actions, as essential to our spiritual well-being. We will now receive this morning's offering. Individually and together, we are building a world filled with peace and justice, love and joy. Each one of you, by your commitment of time, talent, and treasure, helps to make that grand vision real. Today, we give a very warm welcome to our guest worship leader, Reverend Amy McMahan. She is a pillar of Greenfield, and I'm so lucky to say a personal friend. Amy, welcome, and thank you for being with us today.
Thank you. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you for joining me this beautiful Holy Sunday. Thank you, Kirsten, Citizen of the Year. And let us start in prayer. God, your word says, where two or more are gathered, there you are. So I pray today that we feel you, that we know that you are a prayer away, that we allow you to work through us in this community, that we feel the love that surrounds us, and that we embody the principles of divine love And as we are going to talk about forgiveness today, to embody that expansion and grace and mercy that we are all capable of. And I say, thank you. I love you. I trust you. I let it be so. And so it is. Amen. So we're going to talk about forgiveness today, which is that's a topic that seems to be a lifelong lesson for me. And I went into a deep dive last night about what is forgiveness? What is it? So Merriam-Webster says forgiveness is to cease to feel resentment against an offender. And the Bible, the verse I found, for if you forgive other people when they sin against you, your heavenly Father will also forgive you. But if you do not forgive others their sins, your Father will not forgive your sins. And that's from Matthew 6, verses 14 through 15. That's from the NIV, the New International Version of the Bible. So I thought we would start off firstly talking about specific forgiveness, and then what it means, secondly, to forgive in our consciousness, to have a forgiving consciousness. And then thirdly, what would forgiveness look like? What forgiveness do we still feel called to act on and embody in our community? What does community, a national forgiveness look like? Now, there's a beautiful moment that I like to think about when it comes to forgiveness, where we can bump into a stranger and look into each other's eyes and say, oh, geez, I'm sorry, excuse me, pardon me. And you can make beautiful eye contact and just walk away thinking, wow, okay, that was a beautiful moment. We can be gracious, we can be lovely when people invade our personal space or just bump into us, right? That's when I can find myself really being able to embody forgiveness and walk away feeling a little bit more expansive and gracious. But I think it gets a little more dicey when somebody really hurts our feelings. The opportunity, I think, in that moment is to deepen our intimacy and repair the relationship. I know that there have been times, and especially in my relationship with my partner, where we really hurt each other's feelings. And it is tempting to just go after one another. And I think we all can admit, is anybody else able to hold up their hand and say, in those moments, we can go to a really dark place and want to hurt somebody as much as they have just hurt us. But there's an opportunity to say, hey, did you mean to say that I didn't look good in that outfit? Did you mean to say I made a bad choice by choosing to go to this gathering? And I think in those moments, we get an opportunity to undo some of the things that we learned. In my family, no one ever said they were sorry. We swept everything under the rug, and we never gave each other the opportunity to be vulnerable, to admit that our feelings were hurt, and to take our relationship to the next level. So I think when forgiveness comes in the room, we can see moments in pain as an opportunity to build a new bridge, to say, hey, I think you could know me better if I admit to you right now that it really hurts my feelings when you aren't present with me, when you're on your phone, or you dismiss something that I've said. And when the other person says, oh, geez, I had no idea, I'm so sorry, we get an opportunity to forgive each other and move forward. And then there's the big things, the deeply damaging things, the things that make our blood, it just boils. And for me, when I think about my childhood and the child abuse, when I think about racism that I've experienced, I've heard other people talk about, I know that that's when the forgiveness gets really difficult. Because if we acknowledge that somebody did something that deeply damaged us, and we say, I forgive you, how do we also hold that person accountable? How do we also say, like, what you did was not right? That's not okay what you did. How do we forgive the deep hurts, the ones that are on our community level, the ones that happen to us personally? I know you don't have to travel far to talk to somebody else about something that happened that really profoundly affected them. Now, I was born in Vietnam in 1971, and my father came to Vietnam as an advisor. And so I am a child of the Vietnam War. My mother was born in Da Nang. She was ethnic Chinese, but was a national that he encountered, and they married and they came here. And my childhood was filled with domestic violence. The police came to our house about 3 times a week. And my perception was that my father, who was Caucasian, he was never held accountable. And he worked for the federal government and he had diplomatic immunity. And the part about this that I'm still calling the forgiveness in is that the FBI came to where we were living in Watertown, Mass, to interview everybody in the neighborhood. I'm certain went to the Watertown Police Department. And there would have been records that showed that this person was constantly being involved in these domestic violence situations. The police were called. They would have seen the police records. And they still okayed him to become an official of the United States government with a top secret security clearance and diplomatic immunity at times when we lived abroad. And I think that is the thing that I continue to work my forgiveness practice on, because my perception was he was never held accountable. And my perception was that we live in a country that doesn't hold people like my father accountable, and they get away with a lot of things that, I personally found deeply damaging. And I think other people could also say have been difficult to move through. And so, I was an angry teenager, and I really my father and I did not get along. I was a confused adult. I certainly used alcohol and drugs. And I came to this place in my life where I had to ask myself, like, how do I move forward from this? How can I not be this person who lives in this amount of pain? And so I went to Maryland, to the Intervisions Institute for Spiritual Development, which was founded by the Reverend Dr. Van Zandt and run primarily by Black women. And I knew they would have the answer. And they did. It was forgiveness over and over and over. My teacher wrote a book about forgiveness. It's a 21-day process. It's a lovely thing. There's a lot of tapping. She wants to help us get those thoughts out of our minds, the condemning and judgmental thoughts. And they had me read Radical Forgiveness by Colin Tipping, another wonderful book. And I did. I let go a lot of the pain and the hurt by acknowledging it in a community, having other people talk about their painful experiences, and holding space for one another of compassion and mercy, and really just calling in that loving presence that we all are capable of. So, I stopped drinking, I was sleeping better, I'm happier. And my father transitioned in 2019, and we came to the best place of peace we possibly could have. His wife said to him, "Do you want to ask your daughters for forgiveness?" And he said, "No, I'm good." And I think that a lot of people from my father's generation, he was born in Cincinnati in 1941, didn't think that asking for forgiveness was a possibility. I think there was a practice of invulnerability that I will say about his generation that I think didn't serve him, because we never really were able to get to that place of repairing our relationship and taking it to the next level. But this year I realized there was another level of forgiveness that I was being called to, forgiving on a community level, because I think I still held some of those judgments around my father and his role as an authority figure, and the racial demographics I would see in rooms where decisions were being made. And I kept kind of having this tightness in me about how could they have turned this blind eye to the innocent child? I was brutalized. And I witnessed all of this domestic violence and nothing ever came to save me. But as much as that messed me up, I started to feel that there was an opportunity here. And I think this is where the forgiveness comes in for these big hurts. I caught myself making assumptions, and, on days when I will admit that I got into some bashing of the white guys, I think that also has something we've been doing on a community level, like making it okay to be unloving in our words and our thoughts towards certain groups and demographics. And, forgive me, God, for anything I have said against one of my brothers. So what does this bigger thinking look like? What does forgiveness look like? I turned to the Course of Miracles. This is section 2 of the sermon. Like, how do we hold forgiveness in our consciousness? And can we acknowledge this is a lifelong practice? How do we honor our experiences and the legitimate suffering, the trauma, the wounds, without dwelling on them, living in anger and resentment, judging others? How do we hold others accountable without condemning them? And I think there's a spaciousness in asking these questions and not rushing to judgment. My teacher always says, I do not know what anything is for. And says, when you catch yourself in the judgments, you just say, cancel, cancel. And so it's interesting because in the Course of Miracles, they define forgiveness as saying basically, like, what I think happened to me didn't happen to me. Which, that's a big one. How do we acknowledge that something happened and say, I don't know exactly what happened? And I think that is where we move towards the spaciousness of not condemning, of not judging someone else and trying to see it differently. That's the miracle in the Course of Miracles, the shift in perception. How do I see this differently? And the Course of Miracles also defines a relationship as an opportunity to have the holy instant. The holy instant is when we shift from fear to love. So we're always able in any moment to have a miracle. So when we're tempted to get into that lower vibrational talking, that voice in our head that's like, oof, I want to think about how I could hurt this person back. We pause and we take a breath and we say, what is the most loving thing I can do and say in this moment? And sometimes it's to say nothing. It's to not say the hurtful thing towards somebody else. And that can be one of the most difficult moments, but it is the forgiveness practice to shut my mouth when I want to say something and cause that pain that I feel that has been caused to me. Can we do that? Are we prepared today to not lash out when somebody does something that is damaging, hurtful? I know that is what I am. That is what I'm working towards. I hope you guys will join me. And then the third part I wanted to talk about is forgiveness as a community. And this is where I'm really excited that you guys invited me to speak to you the day before Martin Luther King Day tomorrow. I think that Martin Luther King is an embodiment of the holy instant. This is somebody who experienced horrific things in his life and still chose to forgive. But in this forgiveness practice, he chose to show us as a nation what we actually looked like when he asked his parishioners to dress up for Sunday, gathered as we are gathered right now and march on that bridge in Selma to say we are here, we have our dignity, and you can't take that away from us. And I think about that moment of the courage it took to walk on that bridge in Sunday best and say, I love this country enough to place myself in bodily harm, knowing that I will forgive these people and show the true patriotism of embodying love in the face of hate. So in that vein, as we move forward this year, how do we take the mantle of the I have a dream speech? How do we move forward as a country when some people are doubling down on the legacy that we have in this country of concentrating wealth in lighter skinned hands and embracing capitalism when it can be just so brutal, and particularly brutal to people who are of darker skin? We still have the demographics that we were founded in, where slave owners, signed the Declaration of Independence, which, still blows my mind. We still have work to do in learning and teaching the history of this country. And so if the vast majority of power and money and privilege are concentrated into lighter skinned hands, and those of us in this room, and I know all of you are committed to what justice looks like, I think this forgiveness, this expansive, this holy instant of like, how do we see this with the eyes of love, looks like us all committing to diversifying and being committed to inclusion and equity. And I know for me personally, I've been saying this in every room. I know Kirsten's doing this work in every boardroom I'm in. I know we're all doing this work, and it's a beautiful thing. And at Greenfield Savings Bank, where I sit on the board, we've been diversifying the staff and the management and the board, and it's beautiful to see. I've been working on this at my restaurant, Mesa Verde. But I wanted to tell you today about an actionable item that I think is a forgiveness practice, this larger scale forgiveness. And a community member, Trenda Lofton, who is one of the few Black realtors in the Valley, has started this thing called the Willow Prec, and it's the permanent real estate corporation. And what she's trying to do is create housing cooperatives that address affordable housing in the Valley, which is such a problem. I'm seeing it at Mesa Verde with my employees, that people are choosing between school and housing. There are people who actually live in their cars and go to GCC. And when I started in the restaurant business, people had cars. Now, very few of my employees have cars, and I'm seeing their rents go up. And I'm wondering how we're going to address the issue of affordable housing. So Trenda has come up with this idea where people are donating, or they're donating housing, multi-unit housing. They just closed on a place in Holyoke, and they're selling it at a discount to the PREC. And then these habitants are able to live in affordable situations as it's not a mortgage the way that we think of mortgages. It's a cooperatively held, and I think it's a beautiful business model that I think will take off, and I'm really excited about it. I'm going to start fundraising at Mesa Verde for the Willow Prec. Their focus is on the BIPOC population, and I think this could be a huge way we all move forward and create that expansiveness, that holy instant. How can we be more loving in our approach to housing? So if anybody wants to join me, I'm happy to talk about it. And I'd love if you guys came to the fundraisers. And I'm also open to more ways we can embody forgiveness as a community. So, you know where to find me. And In closing, as we've talked about specific forgiveness and the bigger forgiveness, and then the big forgiveness, I invite you to consider in every moment of the day what it looks like to be more loving in your thoughts, in your actions, in your beliefs, in your interactions. And I place my hand up as somebody who is working on that in every moment of the day. I hope you'll join me. And so as we close in prayer, I say, thank you, God. Thank you for this opportunity to gather. Thank you for the reminder that we can always be more loving in our thoughts. So magnetize us to divine love. How do we move forward, especially tomorrow, in honoring the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King and all he did and sacrificed to remind us that the holy instant is always available. I say, what would Martin Luther King do? And I let it be so, and so it is. Amen. Thank you. Thank you for joining me this morning.
Thank you so much, Amy. I invite you to stand as you're willing or able to sing hymn number 346, Come Sing a Song with Me. Come sing a song with me. Come sing a song with me. Come sing a song with me, that I might know your mind. And I'll bring you hope when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love and rose in the winter time. Come dream a dream with me. Come dream a dream with me. Come dream a dream with me, that I might know your mind. And I'll bring you hope when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love and rose in the winter time. Come walk in rain with me. Come walk in rain with me. Come walk in rain with me, that I might know your mind. And I'll bring you hope when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love and a rose in the winter time. Come share a rose with me. Come share a rose with me. Come share a rose with me, that I might know your mind. And I'll bring you hope when hope is Thank you. David, could you turn the amp on? Now is the time in our service for sharing joys and sorrows. If you have a sorrow that needs the help of this community to carry it, or a joy so great that you must share it, now is the time. You may share with the congregation. A microphone will be brought to you, and you can speak out loud and we'll light a candle. Or you can choose to silently say that joy or sorrow and light a candle in the window right over there. Okay, why, thank you so much. If you are sharing with the congregation, please note it's not time for announcements, personal or political. And we share our, can you turn that off? It's good. Thank you. Feedback. We care for each other by holding the true purpose of this time of sharing. There will be an opportunity downstairs after the service at Potluck to talk about what's going on in your life. And of course, right before the very end of the service, I'll ask for announcements as well. A great joy that we feel every Sunday is to welcome visitors into our midst. And we invite you to stand up and introduce yourself so we can welcome you fully. It's not a have to, it's a total optional. So please don't feel compelled by us, but if the spirit rises in you, we'd love to be able to welcome you. So now is our time for welcoming visitors and sharing joys and sorrows. David, do you want to do this? Amy, you're gonna light candles? Rob's gonna do it. Okay, thanks, Rob.
Hi, I'm Jennifer. I have joys and sorrows. Joys for all the friends that we've met here in the church since since 2015 when we came back to Greenfield. And joy that we're going to be with my family, my son and his family in Texas, and sorrow that we're leaving everybody and our home here. And I also have a handle of concern for our housemate Sheila, who has been living with us since February, and she came to live with us from her car, and now she's going back to her car and cannot find affordable housing anywhere. So anyway, those are my joys and concerns.
Thank you. You want to speak? You want to say what Jerry should, or have Jerry share?
Good, Jerry.
Okay, thank you. We have concerns for two friends who are having some serious health challenges. One is Julie and the other is Jeff. Jeff is actually, as far as we know, in the hospital at the moment. Oh, apparently Christy tells me he was just released, but anyway, so those are our concerns.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Good morning, community. My name is Fanny Ricketts, and Amy's message was right on time, and it was a week of lots going on, and thank you for the message. It means everything to be here.
Welcome, Penny. I don't know if this is a joy or a sorrow, but my only biological child, I have hundreds of non-biological children, but my only biological child is going to turn 36 this week, and I'm still not a grandmother. I don't know if I ever will be. If anybody wants to donate a grandchild. Anyway, happy birthday to Max. There was one up here, David.
Good morning. My name is Rob. My heart is hurting. One of the most beloved members of a community that I've been connected with for decades, unexplicably and completely tragically just died really abruptly, way too young. And just another reminder of how fragile it all is. And so those holy moments that Amy spoke about, they really come even more into focus when you realize you got to do it now because it may not be possible tomorrow. I want to light a candle of not quite as intense sorrow, but great pain that another dear member of that community is currently in the psychiatric ward of a hospital with just such clinical depression. Some of you know I was there myself. And my heart goes out to him and prays that he'll get through this dark time. And thankfully, there's also a candle of joy, one just to see so many of you here today. It's lovely to be in person and lovely to be able to congregate. And my daughter was able to be very key ally to her closest friend to basically get real creative around a baby shower. And that occasion, at least in this moment, was pure joy.
Okay, hi everyone. My name is Tara Brewster, and it's really a joy to be here with you all today. Thank you to Kristen for reminding us to breathe. That was very helpful. Even though my mask is on, I can still breathe with my mask on. And Amy, thank you for the beautiful sermon and all the work that you do in the community. I appreciate you very much. And I would like to introduce my son, Charles Brewster, who'd like to say something.
Hi, my name is Charles Brewster, and I really like this with being all of you here today. And I really like the breathing too. So
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much, everyone, for sharing.
Hi, my name is Nancy, and I'd like to say that my brother, who recently broke his leg, is home and doing well. He has someone who's taking care of him, and he's doing very well. So, thanks for that.
Morning, church. Annie here. Candle of sadness for my older dog that's finding her way to the other side slowly. She's still with me and she eats and everything, but it reminds me of just what a wonderful companion she's been for a long time. I'm grateful to still have her in my life. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Versa, and I've lived in Greenfield for about 50 years, and I just wanted to introduce myself, and I'm really happy to be visiting you today.
Welcome.
Hello, my name is Karen Shaker, and it's been a tremendous time in my family as my kid's father died. We were married for 37 years and divorced for 14, but we had always a very good divorce, and I went down as his health was failing, and in the whole family, it was just an amazing experience. And it was so rich, and I'm so grateful for the friends and family and how we've all supported ourselves through this. And it just seemed really special. And I only got one grandchild, And she was, I think I was 77 when she was born. So.
There's hope. There's hope, right?
Yeah, right.
Okay. Thank you so much. Would you light one candle for all the joys that have not been shared today? And one candle for all the sorrows. I invite you into a time of silent reflection. And now I invite you into shared energy. So if you dial in by holding your hands, you'll feel it. You'll feel something on your palm. Spirit of community in which we share and find strength and common purpose. We turn our minds and hearts towards one another, seeking to hold in our hearts all of our joys and sorrows, both spoken and unspoken. Spirit, we know that we're enough and that we have enough to hold all of this and more. We know that we'll carry the memories of beloved friends and family as we leave. We know that people who are facing homelessness will receive kindness, and hopefully an action will be taken to find housing for them. We know those who are facing health challenges will be taken care of by healers and the medical community and their beloveds, and that friends will carry their light even if they pass over the bridge. We know that we have enough in our hearts to hold the sorrow of passing and depression and celebrate phenomenal lives and come together in connectivity around those celebrations. We know that we're grateful for things that may pass, but still haven't crossed the rainbow bridge. And we know that we have rich lives full of sorrows and celebrations, and that the dichotomy of life exists and abounds, and we are all a great part of it. Let us open our minds and hearts to a place of quiet, to the silent prayer for the healing of pain and the soft, or not so soft, roaring love that is in all of us. Amen and blessed be. And if you will join in singing Prayer to Friends, which you should find in the front of your hymnal. To this day I bring my life, born of hope, born of sin, yearning joy where now there's strife. All I have, all I am. Help me to see what I must see. Help me to be where I must be. turn our hand. May the love which overcomes all differences, which heals all wounds, which puts flight all fears, which reconciles all who are separated, be in us and among us, now and always, this day and on all the days to come. Go in peace, create peace, be peace, and may it be so. Feel free to join us for our farewell potluck to Jennifer and Melvin right after the postlude. Thanks so much.
That was a beautiful piece of music and a beautiful sermon.
I think I missed
Oh,
my sound. Ah, Was that Carlin? Were you just saying something?
Yes, yes, you're still there. Great. Hi.
Hi.
I missed some of it too, but Amy's words that I heard were just so special. I think I'm going back and listening to that one again.
Yeah. A lot of really, I know at one point Christy and I looked at each other and were like, we never do that, right? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. If you're human, I think anyone human and perhaps even some non-humans, some
Right.
could probably, benefit from those words. It's really powerful.